your seat before the Lord. Amen. Have your seat. Have your seat. Have your seat. Have your seat. Rapo Shiana Kela. Jesus. Tell your neighbor, say welcome one more time. How many of you are expectant of something dropping into your life this evening? Are you sure you are expecting something to drop? What is the name of this service? Huh? Amen. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, and He has anointed me to speak a word in season to him that is weary. He has quickened my ear to hear as the learned, and He has sharpened my tongues to release those who are in bondage. Tonight, something definite will be coming to you from the table of the Lord in the name of Jesus. I want to implore you, when I give you a message concerning your life, don't take it carelessly. When I give you a message that relates with life, even if you are healthier than Buhari at the moment, when I tell you something is wrong spiritually, if you think I'm lying, believe the lie. Amen? And walk towards it as I've told you. I told a young lady here that if she falls sick, the mother should not carry her to the hospital. That message was less than 2 months. That girl fell sick. They took her to the hospital and she died. I told them, don't let any injection enter this body because this is not hospital. 3 weeks ago, a woman was here sitting in the middle there. I told this woman, they want to kill you, don't travel. She's tall, she's dark in complexion, and I was speaking about a house, that I'm seeing you roofing a house, that God, you can remember, I said, I gave her certain instruction, I gave her a 3 days fast. 2 days ago, my phone just kept ringing and ringing and ringing. Disaster. At that point when I was giving her this message, she was healthy, nothing was wrong. If you believe so much that the word that God give me that are good, they come to pass, then you should be fearful when I say something bad. And I do emphasize that even when I'm saying it, I don't know the gravity or the extent to which it will come. It is your message, not mine. If you don't want to receive, don't come. God will help us in Jesus' name. Tonight, it is those that have secured God that command good. It is those that have what? Secured God that command good. Commanding gold is not the same as acquiring gold. Commanding gold is not the same as having your bank account filled up. Commanding gold is having your needs met. Is somebody here tonight? It is those that have secured God that have capacity to command gold. Many that have gold with them are poor in the spirit and poor in the sight of God. Many that are enviable with the gold of this world, they are poor spiritually and poor in the sight of God. If you don't know, you must be secured in God so that you can have security in the world. There is nothing that secures the future. One of the major reasons why we want our finances to grow is because we want to secure the future. Everybody is looking at the security of tomorrow. You are looking at your house getting old. You are looking at your car getting old. You are looking at your children growing up. And their mouth is not waiting for your pocket to increase. So your security is not in the gold, but in God. Why? Anything that is in life is a variable. Whatever equation, whatever exists in the equation of life is a variable. Only God is a constant. So if your job, the good job you have today is variable, that means it can change. It can be replaced. The only constant in the equation of life is what? God. Your security for tomorrow is God, not your job, not your good salary, not your business that is doing so well. You will learn a lot today. Amen. I'm not casting out any demon this morning. I want to cast out the demon of ignorance. Amen. Why do I need to tell you this? Many people will pack to their village in 2022. In 2022, it's going to be very tough for the world. And I believe you are not from this kingdom. Because we serve a God of what? Possibility. If you don't believe, go and read your Bible. There was a Goshen and there was an Egypt. God's dealing with us is basically on the principle of his kingdom and not on the kingdom of this world. However, we exist within two kingdoms, and God understands the reality of this. So our life will work based on principles. Amen. Our life will work based on what? Principles. The principle that you have applied over time. The principle of hard work. The principle that you have applied over time. Over a certain period. When it comes to the world, what you earn is what makes you. When it comes to the world, what you earn is what makes you. But when it comes to God, how you earn what you earn is what will make you. How you earn is different from what you earn. So there is a way to success, and there is success itself. How you earn is more important to God than what you earn. And ultimately in God, it is how you earn that makes you. But in the world, it is felt that what you earn is what makes you. When it comes to God, what you earn does not determine what you become. What you earn does not determine what you become. If not, the Bible will not say, I have seen servants riding on horses and kings walking with legs. So the race is not for the swift, or the battle is for what? The strong. There are those today that have houses that never believed that they could buy a block before. Is somebody hearing that? There are those today whose children have graduated from the university and they never went to a primary school. So if life is a product of what you earn, then the intervention of divinity is not needed. Amen? The intervention of what? Divinity is not needed. So every man will have just put in an extra energy, extra drive into the works of his hand. What you earn does not determine what you become. How you earn is what determines what you become. How you earn what you earn. So people of this world want to earn anyhow. That's where the difference is. Anyhow is a way. Any way is a way, provided it leads to what? Earning. But in God, how you earn what you earn determines what you become. Because this is what will give room to divinity to play its part. God has no part in unrighteousness. One thing you must understand is that the summation of how you earn plus the blessing of God determines what becomes of you. The summation of how you earn plus the blessings of God determines what becomes of you. It is not the summation of what you earn. The summation of how you earn righteously plus the blessings of God, that's what determines what you become. Many things that believers call favor today is fraud. Fraud, 419. Blessings, fraud. In the house of God, Celebrated men and women are fraudsters. There are pastors who can never preach about fraud or corruption today because they know that 30% of their congregation is into fraud. You don't need to tell me. I know. If I don't want to embarrass you, I will call you to my office and tell you, okay, I'm not a party to this. And if I see you continue, I will say it openly here. There are parents today who defend their children with their life, who are into fraud. Provided they what? Earn. Let me let you know that whatever you are sweating for, if God takes you above this earth, you will know that the world is dark. Then you will imagine what you have been struggling to get in this dark space. You know how it is when you go and buy land in a bush. Oh, okay. Have you bought a property? Who has bought a property before? The first time they brought you to that place, does it look like the place you want? Okay. That is how this world. That is how this world is. It is never like. It is never like what you want. And that is how this world is. Please, in the latter time, the Bible says, men shall be lovers of themselves. Men shall be lovers of themselves. People don't care. Many of you know what is going, and some of you are totally ignorant of what is going on in our present time. In our present time, more than 40% or 50% of the youth you are seeing are into fraud. And they call it blessing. It is not blessing. It is curse to be eaten by duping. It is a curse to be eaten by stealing, directly or by style. You are eating the future. And as you eat the future, when you get to the future will be empty. Or when you get to the future, you disappear. You expire before time. Amen. In God's sight, how you spend is more important than what you spend. In the sight of God, how you spend is more important than what you spent. Is somebody hearing that? So you may not understand. How you spend is more important than what you spend. So God can tell you to spend 1 billion for something that will bring in just one result. Is somebody hearing that? So the ways of God is not like the ways of man. The ways of God is not like the ways of man. How you spend, the purpose behind the spending is more important than what you spent it for. Amen? The purpose behind the spending is more important than how much you spent. The purpose behind what? The spending is more important than how much what you spent. The purpose. How you spend is more important than what you spent. If Christ was his only begotten son, that means God spent all his love. God exhausted what? All is what? Love. God exhausted what? All is love for only the purpose of gaining us. So when God is telling you to do something, don't look at what you are putting there. Look at the purpose. Look at what? The purpose. Look at the purpose for that spending, not the amount you are spending. It's because they could not understand purpose. That's why they look at the woman with the alabaster oil in her hands and they say, how will she waste this kind of perfume? That perfume is always reserved for a wedding day. Amen? That perfume is reserved for a wedding day. That it will be poured. They will break it. Once they break it, the aroma will come out. They will use it to spread on that person. Many of you, you know, these celeb people, there's a perfume they used to bath. There was a socialite that went for prayer somewhere. They now prayed with him with perfume. So the place where they now lighted candle, they lighted candle around him so that he will use it for the prayer. So the perfume they sprayed on him now became gas for the candle. That's how he burns to death. It happened in Lagos now. It was in the news. So that was how that perfume is. It's something that once it is sprayed on you, on the day of your wedding, when you enter into the ground where the wedding is taking place, everybody will perceive the woman. And that woman broke it and poured it on his feet. Somebody say purpose. If a father does not understand purpose, he will never give his children quality education. That's when you hear you don't chop your life. I won't chop my life. That's when you will hear him comparing the child that did not write letter to him before coming to the world. He will be comparing him and say, my father did not do this for me. Amen. So when we are talking about the blessings of God, God has a way that he blesses. Amen. And God is going to be speaking to your finances today. After tonight, you will know what to do. You know, the Bible said that the way of a fool wearieth him, because he knows not how to go about the city. And if I stand on this altar and I don't teach you a mystery, then I've wasted your time. You should have gone for your village meeting. The hallmark of your faith, that God is your provider, is your tithing. The hallmark of what? Your faith, that God is your provider, is what? Your tithe. Let anybody stand anywhere to preach to you and tell you that it's a revelation they have gotten from heaven now, that tithing is of the law. Tell them that they are from the kingdom of darkness. Because if Jesus himself did not speak against it, then who are you? For he said in Matthew 23, he said, verse 10, he said, this ye ought to do, and not to leave the order undone. He didn't say don't do it. The hallmark that you have faith that God is your provider is in your tithing. So if you are saying you want God to provide, or God is your sustainer, God is your provider, you don't tithe, you are lying. That's just all the grammar I'm just speaking. Tithing was not battered by law. Tithing did not come as a law. It came as a result of faith. Abraham did not receive the law. Moses did. In Genesis chapter 14, Abraham was the first tither upon the earth. Amen. So, and it was not commanded of him. It was done out of faith. In Genesis 14:20, he tithed of all that he brought from the battle of Chedorlaomer. Not because anybody told him that. Because it is being said today that, it is of the Old Testament. We are not under law, but under grace. Now, imagine if we say that grace speak better things, and the law is telling us that we should give 10%. How much is then the grace asking of? So you are not limited to. That means if you are struggling with 10%, then you've not really understand, or you have not come to experience the provision of God. You have not yet met the one God that is called Jireh. You know he has names. Is somebody here? He has names. This name is not because you called him. Don't call him name that you have not experienced him. Everyone that named him, they named him because of the experience. And he called him Jehovah Jireh because he provided a ram in place of a son. It was by experience they called him that name. God is changing your experience today. Prayer will soon become a trick when you don't have experience. You will think it's a trick, but when you have an experience, you will know it's not a trick. It works. And only those who don't give up, they see God. When you say you have faith that God provides, God is your healer, God is this, God is that, you can't prove it by your tithing, you are lying. You are lying. Why is this? Because Abraham was a man of faith. Amen? Abraham was what? A man of faith. And Jesus says something in the book of John chapter 10. He said, if ye be Abraham's children, ye will do the works of what? Abraham. We inherited the promise of Abraham. So if we are Abraham's children, we will do what? The works of Abraham. In Genesis chapter 18 and verse 19, he said, for I know my servant Abraham, for he will command his children and his household to do justice and judgment, that God will be able to fulfill all that he promised unto his servant Abraham. Why? God understood that the blessing upon this man is not something that he will even experience. He will just see small. This blessing is a transgenerational blessings. In Deuteronomy 8:18, he came out to say again, thou will remember the Lord your God. It is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, that he will fulfill that which he has spoken unto your fathers as it is this day. The things that the fathers have told them and they are doing is what it means that thou will remember, not just because they just remembered. So you can remember for remembrance sake. But when you remember and you begin to do what your fathers did, your father in the Lord. So when you despise the works of the fathers of faith, what you are indirectly saying is that you have no faith. Abraham never received the law, a command to do that. To receive the blessings of God on your finances, you must become an addicted tither. Somebody say addicted. You must come to a place where you have zeroed your mind from that 10%. You have come to know that even if you keep it, it can't make you. Don't see it as help. You are helping yourself. Because nobody can help God. Any altar where you see that they are begging, they want to introduce begging into your life. Amen. Instruction come from an altar and power. It's not begging people to come and do something. You must become addicted. Addicted. When you become addicted, what is happening to you is that your mind has been reshaped. Your mind has been reshaped. Addiction is what you can't do without. It becomes the first thing, the important thing. Your mind has been reshaped. And when your mind has been reshaped, we come to a position where God knows. Somebody say God knows. God knows by our action, not by our speaking. So you can claim God knows. No, it is by your actions He knows. Is somebody here tonight? So when what you do will show that He knows what you do. So when you have come to that place where you have become addicted to it, you will see that you don't have option. Amen? You don't have what? Option. Learn to trust God to the end. Don't see borrowing as an option in your life. One thing I've discovered about borrowing is that when you see it as an option, it will materialize even when there is money in your hand. Many borrow not because they lack fund. They borrow because of fear. Oh, you've never seen. I've seen before. I want to go and make I borrow this one, keep in case. There are people who borrow for in case. In case. Borrowing because of in case. Now this one is a more complex thing because it has become a part of the blood vessel. Now there are borrowers who infect other people with borrowing. Oh, there's committee of borrower now. You are doing well in your shop, they will come and tell you to come and borrow. Chase that person with broom. Once he's going, don't allow the person to go. Carry your broom and start sweeping the leg out. I've seen people coming together as unit now to borrow. And the worst part, they will be chasing all of them up and down. You know a doctor knows many secrets patients don't know. So when I'm talking from somewhere. I'm talking from somewhere. Oh God. I was in a community somewhere and I saw, where's this woman? They said, she ran away. Where's this one? He ran away. Where's this one? Pastor, you don't know? I said, I don't know anything. What happened? He said, the three of them are in the same group. They borrow money. And I said, what? When I met one on the road, she was as black as her sandals. I said, madam, your money for cream finished. And she was like, Pastor, you don't understand. He said, is the sun that changed my complexion. I said, ow! Where was the sun since January? Where was the sun since January? She said, once I wake up in the morning, I will leave my house as early as 5 and I will be roaming about because I can't stay in one place. They are looking for me. They are looking for her because of borrow. Let me tell you, the shame that you cover is the glory that you deny. The shame that you covered is what? The glory that you deny. There are some shame you don't cover. Let it show. I was speaking to a man of God recently. And he said, Pastor, I'm tired of borrowing instruments. I said, who sent you in the first place? What happened to your voice? I said, if God did not give you, you don't need it. I know how many years, at least we sat on benches for 2 years in this church. And God stopped me practically from using my money to buy chairs, not because there was no money. From the first day there was money to buy chairs. He said, I provided benches. You are telling me you want to buy plastic chair. Is it because there's money? He said, do you know who I sent to come and buy the chair? You want to block? And I waited for 2 years for the person to come. If you understand God, there are things that you will not force. From the first day, how many chairs did we park behind the door? 40 chairs. Behind when nobody else was here. I've already bought 40 when he spoke to me. He said, who sent you to buy chair? It's because you have money, Abi. So if you don't have money now, all these benches I provided, they are not good enough for a church to start. I said, I'm sorry. 40 behind the door. So there are things you think you need that God is saying you don't need it. They were still his children when they were in the wilderness. He gave them manna to eat. There is a food God wants you to eat. Now, it's God, it's not devil. That time you are soaking gari and milk or gari and gari. It is God that was giving you. It's not devil. You feel it's devil. Are you their God when they were eating one food? And he's telling them, don't take for tomorrow, take for one day. The same food. And they cry and say, we want another food, we want another food, we want to eat meat. He said, okay, eat meat and die. They began to eat meat and they began to die. Many of the things you ask for, they are poison to you. You think it's blessing. This life is a written script, and there are things that must play to order for everything to be in order. One thing you need to hate within your soul, if you want God's intervention to speak, detest borrowing. Is somebody hearing that? One of the things that fights the hand of God is to have a borrowing mentality. I'm going to remove, by the power of this word, borrowing will live your life. That amen is not for this prayer. You will not have it as an option again. There are prayers you need to pray. If you don't want to borrow, God, when I want to borrow, please don't let me see. If you can't pray it, then you are not waiting for some experience. Listen, when you see a man who is experiencing certain order, there are certain things that have happened to them for them to be lifted into that order. There is a man that will always experience divine financial intervention. That man must have come to understand that he's not a borrower. It's not understanding. It has become a revelation. It has become empowered within his spirit that he can't be in the position. And even if he's in the position to borrow, there will be an intervention. It is not only in his mentality, it has become a reality. I'm not the one telling you that you are not a borrower. He said, you shall be givers. You will be lenders and not what? If it's for you, shout amen. Anytime you borrow, you're already in minus. Minus of blessing. So when blessing come minus, when blessing come minus, when blessing come minus, if you want divine financial intervention, you must apply God's wisdom. Somebody say God's wisdom. What is God's wisdom concerning your finances? What is God's wisdom concerning your finances? God's wisdom will address your affairs. It will address your living and your standard. You must understand your standard. Don't be ashamed to buy bend down select if that is your level. Is somebody here? I was working some years ago and I was wearing one trouser. Not because there was no money. I was working some years ago and I was living in one room. And if you ask me now, David, why are you living in one room? I was not living in one room because I didn't have money for 2 rooms. But because the condition of my mind cannot afford to pay landlord that kind of money for 2 rooms. It will be like a punishment to my own life that I'm counting that much to go and give a landlord. So I better stay in my one room where even if I'm giving the landlord the money, say I'll be looking at him. Is the landlord managing this money for the one room? If the landlord wants to repair roof, we will share the money. Why should I pray and fast to pay rent? There are no other things to pray and fast for. A rent that you know is not an emergency. It's not an emergency. Then when the time for rent comes, your mind will be your chest want to burst out from your heart because of house rent. Are you living for a house or you are living in the house? You are now living for a house. You will do a job of 1 year. You pack it to go and pay house rent. A job one year. Sometimes 13 months or 14 months a job. You beg to pack. You will now pay house rent. Am I talking to someone tonight? There are things you are praying for that God is not there. He's only asking you, take wisdom. He's not even giving you money. He's only telling you what? Oh, you are not talking now. You are not talking. You are not happy. You are not happy again. Some people are not happy. Some people are not happy again. He It's only telling you take wisdom. Don't take money. Many years ago, I got a job somewhere in Lagos. When I got the job was 3 times what I was earning. And I checked. I said, okay, if I relocate, the cost of living in this area alone, it will swallow the benefit of the money. Somebody will say, it's good to change environment. Even when the children of Israel left Egypt, they were still looking at the environment they change. I said, no, I must apply wisdom here. What is God saying? When I decided not to take that job, it was like foolishness. But a lot of benefits after. Because I said, okay, the transport alone, the chaos on that road alone, understand your level. Some of you now, December is coming. This one want to do marriage, you bring clothes. This one want to do freedom, you bring clothes. This one want to do this, you bring clothes. Only you, 3 clothes. Then you collect because it's take. They are forcing it on you. Clothes, not food. It's food they used to force someone to eat in the dream. I don't know when you started eating clothes in the dream again. You can't tell somebody, I can't take this one. The worst sin to commit is to take cloth on credit. Is somebody here? To take cloth on what? That's the worst sin. Know your level. It is not a sin. And that your level is not your last level. It's not your last level. While Mama was in school, for 2 years, I don't think I bought her 1 slippers. And she never complained one day. Say, give me shoe. Or I want to buy shoe. One like this. Say, I want to buy slippers. I will tell you, we should subtract it from your school fees. We should subtract it from your school fees. It's a choice. Life is in phases and men are in sizes. Your season is not my season. And even whatever season you are going through, always remember that there is no permanent season. It is for the sake of harvest that is never permanent. It is not for the sake of destruction. It is for the sake of harvest. Because if it's permanent, that means that those who never sowed will never reap. Or they will never have opportunity again. There will always be a dry time and a rainy time. There will always be a planting time and a harvest time. Your seed. Your seed is what brings into your life the dimensions you have not experienced before. Your tithe, keep that which you have. Amen. Your tithe has capacity to keep what you have. Then your tithe also releases wisdom. Somebody say wisdom. If you tithe, you will have wisdom to spend the rest. Because when you tithe, you remove. So immediately you remove, your sense will wake up that you have to plan the rest. Is somebody here? So it is wisdom that is associated with it and keeping that which is already given. But when you are tired of a level, you sow. When you are tired of a level, you sow. Your seed is not the same as your tithe. Your seed is not the same as your offering. The dimensions that you have not experienced before is what you look for when you are sowing a seed. So it is not just like I'm sowing that God will bless you. In what? In a dimension you have not experienced before. What you sow and where you sow must move in tandem. Somebody is tired now. Okay. What you sow and where you sow must move in what? Tandem. So what you sow is as important as where, okay, it's as important as where you sowed. It is not enough to have a good seed and sow on a bad land. For the sower in Matthew chapter 13, he had good seed. And as he was going, the Bible says some fell on the hard rock. Some fell by the roadside. Some fell in the thorns. And he was still going. Imagine that man having all his seed on a good ground where everything was supposed to come out. A man's life will be defined by the opportunity he's able to make use of. Not how many opportunities he had. Not how many he had, but the one he's able to make use of. What you sow and where you sow must move together in tandem for a good harvest to come. And if it is the responsibility of a farmer to search out and test the ground and see that this place is good enough for my seed to come out, then it is your responsibility to also do your research. Is somebody hearing that? It is your opportunity to understand the time and the seasons to sow, not just sowing. Somebody that sowed a socks when a socks is needed will reap higher than somebody that gave a house when the house is not needed. Is somebody hearing that? Somebody that gave a socks when the socks is needed will reap than when you give a house and the house is, maybe you even gave and they are looking at, what are we going to use it for now? God cannot be mocked. The Bible said, whatsoever a man soweth, that he shall reap. Galatians chapter 6 and verse 7. It said, be not deceived. God is not mocked. Be not what? Be not what? God is not, whatever a man sows, that he shall reap. One thing you must also understand is that what you sow is as important as how much you sow. What you sow is, you can't sow guava and be expecting mango. You can't sow orange as be expecting apple. So what you sow is as important as how much you sow. So he that soweth sparingly will also what? Reap sparingly. Don't modify seed. And don't modify whatever I'm saying. Don't modify it. Is somebody hearing that? What is in your hand can be your talent. What is in your hand can be your service. What is in your hand can be your finances or your technical know-how. There are different anchors that we need to tap into graces that function better than what we are experiencing. In 2 Corinthians chapter 9 and in verse 6, but this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall also reap what? Sparingly. And he which soweth bountifully shall what? Also reap bountifully. Every seed that is sown will come out in its season. There is a season for every seed. So as important as what you sow, that's the kind of season it will use to come. Amen. So you sowed a mango. A mango will not produce in the season of a corn, of a seed of corn. You sowed a coconut. It is a transgenerational plant. It will not come in the time of a watermelon. So what you sow is the kind of seed. The quantity will quantify the blessings that follows. Important to note. Our life does not just change because we have the guarantee of tomorrow. It changes because of what we are doing now. Changes are entered into consciously and subconsciously. They are being enforced by actions and inactions. Decision does not come by decision. Even indecision is a decision. Indifference is already a difference. When you begin to sieve what you want to believe or what you want to receive from God, you are sieving your own blessing. For this kingdom is for children who learn and relearn. Is somebody here tonight? God's blessing coming on your finances and provoking financial favor. Finally, I'm looking at fastings and praying. Somebody say fastings and praying. One thing that the fasting and praying does is that it commands the abiding presence of God, and nothing draws favor like the presence of God. Nothing draws favor like what? The presence of God. Nothing draws favor like the presence of God. Nothing draws favor like the presence of God. Nothing draws favor like the presence of God. What you need is not withheld by God. The Bible says, according as his divine power has given us all things that pertaineth unto what? Life and godliness. According as his divine power has given. This is our prophetic reality in Christ. Our experiential reality may be different. It is because of our contact and connection. However, our prophetic reality is the same He had given us all things. Somebody say, He had given me all things that pertain to life and godliness. Say, irrespective of whatsoever is happening around me, I have been given all that I needed. Somebody say, I believe. All. So what you need is not being withheld by God. The reality of destiny is a contest. Somebody say a contest. In every promised land, there are giants, there are the Amorites, there are the Hittites, there are the Jebusites, they are there. It is not a funfair but a warfare. And you don't win a warfare by talking. You win a warfare by engaging. And in fastings and prayer, you begin to draw the presence of God. And as the presence of God is with a man, he attracts the favor that he so desires. If God has given us all things, then we are pregnant of these things, spiritually speaking. We are pregnant of it. When a woman is pregnant, a woman can confess and say, I have a child. And if that woman say, I have a child, it would take a foolish man to say, you don't have a child. Because once you are pregnant of it, you have it. It will only take time for it to be revealed. So you are pregnant of all these things. I think somebody needs to rejoice. In Genesis 2:5, the Bible rightly said something. It said the seed of the earth, all that needed to grow was already in the soil. God caused it not to rain because there was no man to till the ground. So until a man tilled the ground, then God caused it to rain, then it began to grow. But everything that needed to grow in the ground was already in the ground. Where is the place of the prophetic? The prophetic does not create what God has not put there. The prophetic releases that which is in the man, because he is the man that tills the ground. And God caused. That's why you can see somebody will say, the man of God said, I will receive good news. And in 3 weeks, you receive good news. The man of God touched me and he said, go and be pregnant. And you receive that even when the enemy was fighting. The man of God said, go and get a job. We have seen this order here severally. And some people will sit down and say, oh, why did this man of God create the same order in me? No. The Bible said, what is revealed is given. So the prophetic unlocks that which is within the soil. That which is within the soil. So if a man does not know that he will travel, the prophetic can unlock. A young lady was here. I said, you are traveling in 3 months. She did not have 500 naira for traveling. And in 3 months it happened. 500 naira savings. Fasting and praying helps our spiritual stature. Somebody say our stature in the spirit. Our stature in the spirit is helped when we fast. There is a physical body and there is a spiritual body. Emphasis must be placed on your spiritual stature. Why? Because of the things that you are to receive. When the devil wants to suppress a man, it does not fight your body, it fights your spirit. There are places your spirit ought to be for your blessings to come. Is somebody here? A young lady was here for deliverance, and I said to her, I said, your destiny is in Canada. I said, they are holding you down in Canada. I said, but this force is somebody, your father's second wife. And we began to pray, and it led to deliverance that day. I prayed for her here. In 3 weeks, somebody called her from Canada. Somebody that did not have a contact but had to be calling people to be begging for a contact. And said, give me her number. How did they know? Someday God put a word in her mouth to speak concerning the fellow in Canada who she had never met, and she has not known even if she will meet. Now the person in Canada that she has never met is sending help to her. Why? How did that happen? As the prophetic is released, our spirit was suppressed because our spirit is supposed to be in Canada to trigger a favor in the heart of somebody. And as the spirit is being released here, a blessing is being released here. Wherever your spirit is being suppressed from getting your desired help, tonight your spirit shall be lifted. I say your spirit shall be lifted. In Luke chapter 2 and verse 40, the Bible said that Jesus and the child grew and waxed strong in the spirit, filled with wisdom, and the grace of God was upon him. Luke chapter 2 and verse 40. And in that same Luke chapter 2 and verse 52, and Jesus, speaking of the child in verse 40, and Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. Let me let you know that one sign that you can use to prove to the world that God is with you is that the favor of God will be on you. It's not how many times you come to church. Amen? Can I hear a louder amen? When you want to talk about God being with you, is the hand of God being seen on you by the favor of God manifesting on you. It's not how much you talk about the Bible. For the letter killer, the spirit giveth life. So your spirit need liberation. Somebody say your spirit need liberation. When your spirit is liberated, nobody can stop your customer. They don't allow them come. No, something will trouble them to come. You will sit down in your shop, something will go and visit there. Make her just go buy from her. Make her just go. And when they come, their love will be what? Reignited. Amen. The liberation of your spirit is important to the kind of favor you experience. There are men who will be compelled to favor you when your spirit is liberated. When the stature of your spirit is built, there are things that the devil cannot deny you. You have the stature to carry it. Amen? You have what? The stature to carry it. One of the handwork of the devil is that it brings a defilement on a man. It brings a defilement on a man so that when this man appears spiritually, is disqualified from receiving that which is due for. Amen. That is why somebody can be physically okay, sound, and something is holding his leg. If that man now with chains on his leg, he can't have speed in life. Is somebody getting that? Because that chain serves as what? A defilement. It serves as what? A hindrance. It serves as a defilement and a hindrance. So when people run to go and get a job and it's there, he will discover that he will be the first to come and will be the last to be answered. Then when he's the last to answer, they will now tell him that if to say now yesterday. But the people they answer today, what happened? Something is there spiritually. So what the devil works on is more of the spirit man than the physical. Thank you, Father. Tonight is your night. Jesus shall be glorified. In your finances, Jesus shall be glorified. So your fasting is not because you are, the church is saying fast. You need to fast to survive. If you are in success, to have success in succession, you need to fast. If you are breaking forth, you need to fast. If you need to break forth, you need to fast. It is littered all through the scripture how fasting provoked favor. If a man who was serving the king just drink, we don't know any other job that he did. That was Nehemiah. And a king will give him all that he need to build a wall of a city. By what? 3 days fast. A young lady who was due for marriage, and there was no suitor coming. Let's speak about that. Esther. And our people were in trouble, and they were to be killed. But a whole people stood up, and they began to fast, and they began to pray, and something happened. The Bible did not tell us that Esther was the most beautiful girl in the land. But when favor comes upon a man, you may be a dwarf, but you'll be spotted. It's not in the height. If it was in the height, David would not be remembered. There was a young man that had the height. In fact, there was no goodly thing that was spoken about Saul more than his height. And we have Saul today. If you don't know Saul, look at Nigeria president. Go to the Bible and read. The Bible said he has height. Did he say he has brain? He has height. He was good looking. Buhari is good looking. Is he not good looking? He's a good looking man. He's old. Go and check his picture. Very handsome man. Many of you that are laughing here, if you met him when he was young, you will marry him. God will help us. Rise up on your feet tonight. Thank you, Jesus. Wave your hand to the Lord, and in the name of Jesus, wave your hand to the Lord and say, Father, in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, touch me tonight. Touch me tonight. Touch me tonight. Touch me tonight. It is a night of impartation. Touch me tonight. Touch me tonight. Leketozi paratozi lapande. Eskuprali caprele. Siamana shoto. Jesus' mighty name we pray. There are many today who are living for food. If you find yourself in a situation where you are living for food and you know it's not your fault because what you are earning is only for survival, don't kill yourself because of that. If you die, then the future dies. Is somebody getting that? There is a situation you can be that you will be in survival mode. The only thing you are living for is what? Get and eat. In that season, still glorify God. The Bible said that a man's life does not consist of the abundance of that which he what? Possesseth. That which you don't possess now, who told you that you won't get it? Who told you that you won't get it? You are going to pray tonight. And you are going to pray like this. Say, Father, in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, release your anointing of favor over my life, everything that concerns me. Pray that prayer with all your heart. All your heart. Lagadosh. Mate koti kapali kapata. Let my experience be different. Let my